like on Wayne's World.
Welcome to the Borderlands Trail and Ultra Running podcast. Inky Steve is with me today, and we have already been enjoying ourselves before hitting record today, and I promise that we are also going to enjoy after hitting record.
You know, these things matter. Call me Shell. It's the fucking truth. And by this measure, I was having one of the best.
I don't know if you have seen High Fidelity, but yesterday when Inky Steve and I were going back and forth thinking about this episode, he referenced High Fidelity, and I was like, oh my God, if we could create a podcast that gave us the same feeling we got when enjoying High Fidelity, like Jack Black. So as someone who's made music his whole life, there was, when High Fidelity came out, it gave words to when I left punk rock and I started making, you know, singer-songwriter stuff. He calls that sad bastard music. And so my whole life I've talked about that I make sad bastard music. There's so many great references in High Fidelity. And then, so Inky Steve references it yesterday, and we'll go into what he liked about it and the reference. I mean, we're going to be talking Speedland and Vans today, but we're also looking at like exploring something that's even more unique. And we're going to kind of feel it out together over the course of this conversation, and then hopefully have many more where we're combining brands like Speedland and Vans, things that you think don't have anything in common, but it's all connected to run culture. And so, Steve, before we go any further, what should I call you on an ongoing basis? Should I call you Inky? Should I call you Inky Steve, or Steven?
I don't know. You can call me Inky. You've got a Wolfie. You might as well have an Inky.
Brilliant. Yeah. And you could call me Joshy. Does that sound, that doesn't hit as hard?
Yeah. No, Josh is cool. Josh is cool.
Joshy's cool. I know some Joshies, but they're much cooler than me. Okay, so let's start with High Fidelity and you know why you even referenced that to me yesterday. I just love your take on that. And again, everybody's listening. We are going somewhere with running here, but please hang with us because we're going to talk High Fidelity for a minute.
It could go anywhere. It really could go anywhere. But it is, about running. But when we were talking about the big thing for me is shoes in running, and shoes in general. I'm a big shoe guy. And when we were talking, it was kind of that thing about what you like over the functionality, like we've discussed, like we said before in the other podcast. Like we buy shoes because ultimately we think they look nice, or you know, we like the colorway or something about them, rather than what its functionality is. So when we were discussing it yesterday, I just remembered this scene, and John Cusack says, it's what you like, not what you are like, that matters. And I think that's what goes into the shoe for me. It's not what it's like functionality. It's what it looks like in my hand, and I go, oh man, that's the shoe. You know, I had a conversation with Wolfie the other day about a shoe, and we had a very, very different take on what was good and what was not good. Yeah. I won't say it for sure. Maybe he'll tell you. But
he is never ashamed of any of his opinions. So you know, if you quoted him on it, I bet he'd be stoked.
He's pretty brutal, to be fair. So I don't. To me, it felt brutal. But
direct.
I kind of saw where he was. I kind of saw where he was going with it, but I don't know, it's still something that I like. So you know.
Yeah, and I think that's. I mean, if we've had conversations, I don't even know if it was in the podcast or when we were not on a run, but you know, like when you look at like this like punk rock culture, or you know, just growing up skateboarding, all of that sort of stuff, that was. And even the self-expression movement that Wolfie's involved in, you know, it's about what you like. So, you know, even if it's, so what's interesting about Wolfie is that he's about what he likes, but he's also about like, that dude's fast and he's competitive. And so he's also high on, you know, performance function on those things. Yeah. But for you and me, where we had some great stuff in common, is that it's like, we, you know, maybe I get a piece of gear, proves me a little bit, but I just really like what I like. When I was a kid, I liked having green hair. I had green hair or purple hair. I had a mohawk. Like I just liked what I liked, and no one else around me was necessarily like that. But it's just like, you know, to just give yourself permission to like what you like. And there's a certain running shoe that you like that maybe other people don't. They can tell you why, but if you like it, you like it.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, you stand at the start of a race. I reckon 90% of the people don't like the shoe they've got on. They've just got it because, an advert says it's going to make them faster. And to me, it's like, is it really going to make me that much faster? Probably not. But I'd rather look down and go, or when I see the picture
Yes.
in the race, and I'm like, yeah, that's
Look
it
at that
works.
guy.
It all matches. There's nothing worse than me next to another guy, and I'm like, who's put that outfit together?
Okay, what well, also to establish this, I was telling you this, like, hey, Borderlands started as this brand that was all about the back of the pack, but it was always the heart. It was about being the heart of running, the heart of trail running, and celebrating the stories of heart. And for a long time, because I'm at the back of the pack, I was just celebrating back of the pack runners. And so over the last year, I've been kind of pulling away from just celebrating back of the pack to saying anywhere that I see like passion, anywhere that I see heart is what I want Borderlands to be connected to, and telling those stories in some way. And so we've skewed toward talking about the elite version of the sport, and I'm happy and I love that we did that. But I think maybe just for those of you who are listening, as we set up, what our future episodes are going to be like and all that. I mean, are you a fan of the elite sport of trail running? Is that anything that you care much about?
It's a hard watch. I think when you're in there and you're doing it, it's different. But I think, they don't have the money. I'd rather watch some people running around a track because I can probably relate as much to that as I can someone doing 100-miler. You can't see someone doing 100-miler, but you could see someone doing a 1,500-meter track run.
That's true.
And equally, I'm never going to be that 1,500-meter runner, and I'm never going to be that 100-mile runner. So for the spectacle of it, I think I'd rather watch something that, I don't know, it's difficult to cover a 100-miler. But for me, when you're at the top of your game, obviously I'll never be that. I just enjoy running.
Yeah.
For me, it isn't about how fast they are. It's about what the character of the person is. I'm more interested in that than I am the 100-miler. You'll see him run down the finish line and do it in, I don't know, 100-miler in 19 hours or something. Like, well, that's the bit that I want to see. I really want to see that bit. I don't want to.
Good point.
The documentaries though are really good. I enjoy the documentaries.
Yeah.
They obviously come way after the fact.
Yeah.
Because obviously they've got to have 1 million cameramen and all that sort of stuff on there. So the documentaries of ultra running is brilliant and it is inspiring. But for a race, we talked about Cocodona before, didn't we? And it was just like, it's just white noise for 4 days with 30 minutes of talking here and there.
Yeah. So you answered my next question. So you'll tune in sometimes, like you'll turn it on for a bit to Cocodona or to Western States or to UTMB. Like you tune in for that, or do you just kind of get those highlights after?
I'll tune in just to see.
Yeah.
Anything's on it. Obviously, the time difference with stuff that's in America. Obviously, I'm in Manchester. I'm in the UK. So normally when I'm clicking on, it's the middle of the night.
Yeah.
So there isn't going to be anybody there because, it's pitch black. It's just the head torch in the distance, like fading away. Yeah. So, it's difficult. But, I do like the stuff that they do on the social media side of it. And I do like the emotion of seeing, the guy that wins it. Yeah, running down that street and then that turns right down that weird alleyway. Why it would finish on down an alleyway, it's obviously got some kind of. There's obviously something there. Can you imagine running down there and running past the alleyway? Right. Go, no, you got to turn right. It's the wrong way. It's back there. Yeah, it's back there. I just think, why would it not be on a road? Or obviously they can't because it's people are coming through for 4 days, aren't they, or whatever? Right. So it can't be on a main road. I get that. Yeah, but I do like the story of that they keep posting people finishing and the emotions of it. I like that. Yeah. But in terms of like elite runners, I don't think I'll be running with any of them anytime soon. Right. Yeah. I might run near them, but never with them. Yeah. I don't think. We'll be mates.
So, yeah, probably not. Me neither. So, okay, so answer this for me. Like, okay, so we've already set up. We're going to talk Speedland and Vans and have some fun with this. What,
Yep.
On this topic of liking what you like, I mean, the first time I became aware of you, you drew a picture of Speedlands and Dave Dombrow from Speedland, reposted it, and then I would see other people repost your shoe drawings. And I thought, okay, this guy's just, he's into shoes, having fun. Maybe is he a shoe designer? And follow you. It's like, you just love shoes. What was it about Speedland that brought you in? I mean, were you around from the beginning?
No, I missed. You know what? I can't remember the exact time that I saw it, but I definitely missed the first loop of the shoes that they did. But I think it was, I followed Dylan on Instagram, and he was running in that, and I just saw a picture of it or him wearing it, and I was like, "Whoa, what is that?"
Yeah.
That is something that, just the colour of it, I still think this is probably their best shoe. Still think this is one of their best shoes
in terms of color, or what makes you say that that's their best?
I think just that this model and these colours, I just think everything just works for me in terms of like design. I just think it didn't look like anything else. I like the drop-in midsole.
Yeah.
Or the drop-in insole that becomes a midsole. I like the fact you put a carbon plate in it. It's just I like the boas. Never had a shoe with a boa on it.
Yeah, that was the first time I saw that in trail.
Yeah, what's that about? So I was like, oh, I need them. And then you just go down a rabbit hole.
Right. I saw those colors. I feel like those colors are like 90s, like punk rock in terms of just how vibrant they are. Before, that whole movement, everybody just started wearing black all the time. It was a super colorful movement. I do feel like that's more like, I feel like they've gotten a little bit muted or like desaturated since then. But yeah, they came out real loud.
Yeah, I think so. I feel a little bit. I think what made this really good is the fact that they collaborated straight away off the bat with the free trail stuff, and it felt like it was two things coming together. And I like the idea. I like a collaboration.
Yeah,
just feels a bit more special. And then you move on, and then you've got I've got the first Cam Hanes one. I haven't put a ton of miles in this one.
Yeah.
This is probably the one I've used the least. But really? I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why. But I just, when I saw this one, I was like, oh man, look at the blood down the side. Who's doing that? It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know anybody else who's putting that much personality into the shoes. Like it feels like a good reflection of Cam Hanes, but also the colors were still bright compared to like the Cocodona 250 shoe they just came out with, which feels like a more desaturated red. But that blood on there was a bright red blood.
Yeah, it's definitely noticeable. It's definitely noticeable. But again, it's that thing that they do well.
Yeah,
they do the collaborations with somebody, so it opens it up to a market that you might not get to. Someone that might be buying this might just be a Cam Hanes fan and just go, "Oh, I'm gonna buy that. I'm gonna buy that shoe. I'm just gonna walk in it or go hunting in it or whatever. Whatever they do."
I think it was brilliant because you saw from Cam Hanes wearing it. It got a shout out on Joe Rogan, and then I think at least they were targeting it. I don't know if Jelly Roll ever actually put them on, but he was going to run in them at one point, I heard. So that it was I mean, no one else in trail was touching that demographic really well or pointedly. And these guys coming out of Portland were somewhat fearless in that because that demographic isn't always championed in the mainstream of trail running. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have trail running now, you're competing with some big brands, aren't you? And I feel like these are doing, Dave and Kevin are doing their own thing, and that's what I like.
Yeah, they are doing their own thing.
I mean, like we said in the other one, did they look like this because they were designed to look like this, or did this come, after the fact? This is just what they needed to look like for them to function. And
I
for me, they
forgot about
function
that
really
shoe
well.
that's in your hand right there. That's the Path Project shoe.
That's a past projects one, yeah.
Yeah,
That's Liam's one.
the title sponsor of our race that we put on in
There you
Salt
go.
Lake. I totally forgot about
That's
that shoe. That was a wild colorway there.
Liam did a great job on this. And we got
Yeah.
talking, and it turns out that he's from Bolton, which is like 10 miles away from where I live. But
Oh, really?
He lives in America now. Yeah.
Okay.
So we were talking about stuff in Manchester. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
I feel like I needed this shoe.
Yeah,
But
I guess I've never heard him speak before. I just knew I've interacted with him before, briefly on Instagram. But so he's a British guy as well, huh?
Yeah. Well, yeah, sort of. His accent's slightly different to mine, but we're in the same vicinity.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Okay.
that's that one.
So that was the Path one. You have more? Did you get the road shoe?
I've got a road shoe. I've got a Cocodona.
Okay.
I've not run in this one yet because I'm injured, and I don't want to run injured on it. I want to be like full. So this one's only got one dial on it. So
what's going on with the sole? Is there zero tread on the sole? What's happening to the sole?
It's just like super slick. It's like almost like what Adidas do with their Continental. There's literally nothing. There's nothing. There's no like. You can just see slightly the little grooves in it.
Yeah.
But again, I've not ran in it, so I couldn't tell you for sure whether it's the worst shoe or the best shoe. But it looks great.
Have you worn it out around town or anything?
No, I've not put it on yet. I feel like I need to give it some. My only dislike about this, and it only came yesterday actually when we put the picture together.
Oh.
I like the front of this one. See how the rubber comes right up like a little toe stopper.
Yeah.
And this one just looks more like a trainer.
Yeah.
I'd like it. I'd like this.
That looks speedy.
Still have the little toe. Yeah, it does look speedy, and I'm not speedy, so maybe that's why I like this one because it looks like this one's just gonna plod you along. But
that's right. I agree with that.
I guess it works into another collaboration with them, with the Under Armour.
Oh man!
And that one does that. The widest shoe on the planet.
Is that for road?
Yeah, this is road. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's like little. This has got better sort of traction on it, I guess.
Man.
But it's a bigger than this. I mean, they probably weigh about the same, I guess. But fun shoe.
Yeah.
Fun shoe. But
I think it's important
collaboration
to note is that you have, like when I have Taylor Bodine on the show, he has a wall of shoes behind him, but he's a reviewer and they send him those shoes. I think what's probably important to note for you is that you're a full price buyer, right?
Yeah.
You are just a committed fan of these shoes, and you've got 5 pair of Speedland right there.
Don't say how much they are.
Yeah, we won't add them up.
No, but I need this shoe. Probably not. But when I saw the picture of it, I was like, oh, look at that. Who makes a shoe with half the side cut out? Obviously, you can't wear it so much in Manchester because it rains a lot. So you'd have a pretty wet foot if you were running in that. But I think just the colourway. I think the black and the green and the orange just worked for me, and I just thought, yeah, that's
gotta
like
get that one.
Even if I don't like running in it, I'll dad shoe this all day long. I'll go to Tesco in it, or to supermarket in it, or I'll go to work in it.
Yeah.
For me, the running sort of after the fact. All these shoes I've got, I'd wear these just for mundane school runs and, going to the shop or taking the bins out, things like that, which leads you on to not that I'm going to run in these, but this is like the most battered pair of old Vans on the planet. And it works in the same way for me. Obviously, I'm not running in this, but as a design, for me, it's like it's just a classic. It's just the absolute classic.
It is,
and it's never really changed. You know, they've been going for what since 1966. And they're still doing. I'm not saying the quality is probably the same as it was in 1966, but
right. And on some levels, it feels like that is just like a piece of rubber and some fabric on top of that rubber. It's like there's nothing technological. It feels like about that. Like there's no technological foam. It just seems like it's a heavy, flat rubber shoe. Did you say earlier that you have ran in your Vans though?
Oh yeah. Well, when I first started running, I was like, I didn't know what was a good shoe to run in. So I had a pair of Vans and you're just running them, and it's only when you start looking at stuff and you're like, actually, probably not the best idea in the world. I was running on trails in them. Light trails, not going up not going up mountains, but you know, it's
Were you ever like skateboarding? Were you a skateboarder growing up? Were you wearing those shoes?
Yeah, but probably wasn't wearing them. I was probably wearing like the big DC things.
Yes, I was wearing DCs.
The later, the big massive tongue on them and a Cyrus or something like that.
I'm so glad that style didn't stick.
It's come back round though now. I think.
Is it?
I think it's back.
Of course.
I think
now
it's back.
I'm an old man.
It's back. Yeah,
you know,
back.
grumpy
I
about
wish
it.
I'd kept all them shoes. It'd be I'd earn a fortune now because everyone would want them. I did the same thing with in lockdown with a load of Nike Dunks I'd had from the early 2000s. They're all in boxes, and I was like, I'm just not going to wear them again. Kind of gone past that bit in my life. So
you got rid of a bunch of Nike Dunks?
Dunks, yeah.
Oh, man.
Probably about 10 pairs. In like,
oh, gosh.
2020, when they all started coming back through, I was just like, I wonder if anyone's interested in these. And I kept a few back. But, just they're in boxes somewhere up there. I'm looking up there because they're up there somewhere.
All your boxes?
Yeah.
Are you the type that's like buying, 2 pairs, 3 pairs of shoes when they're released and selling them on eBay? Was this ever like a side hustle for you?
Not really, no, because I only buy the stuff because I like them. I don't like the idea. But I have pulled, I did, because we were talking about collaborations. I was like, I wonder what's up there, and I pulled out this. This is with a brand called Nigel Caborn, and I've probably had these for about 3 years, and I've still got the stuff inside because I've never been out of the box.
Whoa. Oh wow!
And I was just like, why have I not worn them? These are great.
Those are great. Who's this Nigel person?
Nigel Caborn is British brand. Does like reissues of like old military style clothing with a modern twist. So he'll do jet coats, outerwear, like someone was going to do go up Everest in the 1900s. He's looking at those old shapes and doing it with new tech. So it's expensive. But then obviously did a collaboration with these, and it's like denim, and I was just like, oh, they look cool.
Yeah.
And it's got like the old World War II arrow thing going on.
Oh, amazing.
The little studs are all metal and stuff. But again, this is like the same thing, like with the Speedland.
Yes.
The same shoe, right? But this one is taken over by somebody else, just like, that was taken over by Dylan went, that's what I want my shoe to look like, I guess.
Right.
Maybe he didn't. Maybe he did. Did he say, it'd be interesting to know whether he said, this is the colour that I want for my shoe to be.
Yeah, that would be interesting to know how much he weighed in. I also think it's interesting to note, like, I mean, the culture aspect of it here is that, do you know what were Vans originally designed to be for? Were they just like a nice shoe around town?
Yachting. Like yachting. For boating shoes, I think.
Oh, a deck shoe. And then I see that.
And then the little punks got hold of them, didn't they, and started skateboarding in them because they were flat, I guess.
Whoa.
And they just...
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is it then? Do you think that'll happen? I mean, so in trail, what we're seeing now is certain brands like Merrell or Norda, you know, they're
Yep.
they're putting colorways on their existing shoes. They're not designing new shoes for urban. They're just putting urban colorways, you know,
I think
more. And
that's where it's going. I think it's going that like these shoes are being made for someone that runs, but they don't care whether you're running them or not. They'll sell probably more to somebody not running than somebody running, because obviously there's more people not running than there is running. So if they can make something that becomes lifestyle but has the functionality, because you see it with other brands. I won't go into it now, but definitely shoes that I've got have been designed for lifestyle over the purpose that they were intended for. You know?
Yeah.
I think this one is made for the running.
Yeah.
I think this one now becomes lifestyle. Like that's a lifestyle choice in colorway, right? But why did he go from this to this? Why did they do that? I wonder why.
To the desaturated.
Why did they go? Because you think that would be the first one, right? And it moved to that.
Yes.
But it's gone from
that to
that.
Seems like, okay, but I think those earlier colorways got not criticism. I think people loved them, and I'm sure they sold out. I know they sold out. But do those earlier colorways scale? I don't think those earlier colorways scale the same way, because you got to want your feet to make a statement with those. If you want your feet to kind of blend in, they don't. You got to have some more muted colors.
It's like football boots, though, like soccer. You know, when I played football when I was a kid, all the boots were black. And then when the colourful boots started coming in, you were like, well, we're getting that guy because he's got white boots on. And now you look at footballers, there's very, very few of them that have got black football boots on.
Yeah, good point.
Because all of them want to make a statement. Everybody wants to make a statement. And I feel like that, so going back to these shoes in terms of lifestyle, that's probably where the money is, I guess. You know, it's like I don't know, like a Jordan. Who's buying a Jordan 1 and playing basketball in them? Nobody.
Right.
No one's playing basketball in a Jordan 1. It's a horrible shoe.
Yeah.
But it looks good. But it looks good. So it transcends that thing. And I think there's definitely going to be a movement towards Hoka. If you looked at Hoka, I know I don't want to talk about too many other brands, but you look at they've got a drop-down box on the website, and it just says, like, lifestyle.
Yeah.
And they've got their Mafates, they've got all the other ones, and they've just done it in a colourway that's on trend. And that's where they'll make, I guess, they'll make more money selling them to, I don't know, people that are, like you say, going to the gym or going to the shop in them or working in them than they would to runners.
I wonder if, like, the yacht, like, boating culture at one point saw the other culture starting to wear Vans and were like, hey, come on, like, this is not yours, this is ours. Because that's totally, like, you talk to some people now who don't like this urban trail movement. They're like, hey, no, these are for running. These are our running shoes. But they're being taken and used by, you know, tastemakers and fashion minded and leaders in the fashion world, and they're bringing them over, changing the colors on them, and now they're your fancy around town shoes here in Paris.
100%. You'll see them. You walk around any city and look at the shoes that people are wearing. You see people wearing like Alpha Flies. Like, why would you buy a pair of Alpha Flies for £300 to like go shopping in? They're not designed for that. They're horrible to walk in. I mean, it's not a comfortable shoe, but it's expensive, and people will gravitate towards the more expensive stuff, I guess. And you know, that's just, I guess, how it works. You know, they go, oh, you know, the Nike need to make a colorway like that, but they've made it like that for it to appeal to a bigger market, stand out in the crowd. So it's going back to that punk rock, innit, where, you know, everyone was wearing black, and then someone's gone, actually, don't really want to do that anymore. I want to do this, or I want to paint this on my jacket, or I'm going to have this tattoo, or I'm going to have pink hair, I'm going to have a Mohican, you know, that sort of thing.
I think back to like Ramones punk rock culture, when they were in black all the time in Ramones culture, and with denim, but then they would paint stuff on their jackets, and so they would do. Everyone had their own thing. So you do the white paint on the jacket. You'd put your own studs on there. You put your own studs on your belt, and then it got really colorful. So people were expressing themselves through color as much as they were through what was on it. But it was more about being colorful. And then when it went black again, it became like less. It got real muted and got a little bit depressed. It was like a depressed black compared to Ramones, which was like a self-expression. So in running, you see like that in that self-expression movement that it's got more of that heavy metal, like where it's black, but it's like something really unique on it. Though the culture, no one is doing their own stuff. Well, I'll take it back. There are people like Wolfie who cuts up his own shirt, does his own stuff to it. Where there's still some hand, like
DIY,
the hand of the artist. Yeah, the DIY is still on there. But right now, I still feel like we're like a lot of that culture when people are releasing stuff, they're still mimicking some. It still feels like nostalgia instead of like DIY, unique self-expression like punk rock did in the 70s, 80s, into the 90s. And now it just feels like it's commercialized to the point where it's like manufacturing and it feels synthetic. And I think to some degree there, so we're starting to play in color again. You're starting to see people do stuff again. That maybe feels more like unique DIY, but I don't know. Maybe it's just an observation to say, I don't feel like we know how to be as self-expressive. I think it's one of the things that's drawn me to you is, the purple glasses, like you're very much just who you are. You're, by day you're a barber, by night you're a runner, even while you're barbering, you're wearing Speedlands probably because you're on your feet all day. So that's, you're like this true like version of self-expression in the old punk rock days.
Well, so I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and he came up with this analogy that he wanted people to know that he was a runner, without having to wear running, his running kit.
Yeah.
So it's like, what do the hats look like, and what do someone that knows. Like I've got my Speedland hat on today. If I'm walking around, no one's going to know what that is. Really. It's just a Speedland on it. Could be anything, but someone will see it and go, "Oh, I know that hat."
Yes.
Or you'll see some shoes and they'll go, "He's a runner because he's got them shoes on."
Yeah. It's a way to find people who like what you like. I mean, that was the same thing of, in '94 wearing a Green Day shirt. Like some people had no idea, some people disliked it, but the people who liked it, that guy became my best friend. Yeah.
That's it, and I think that's how. When you're going back to you saying about the elite runners, that's why you can't sometimes gravitate towards them because they're told what to do. They've got to wear this and they've got to do that, and they've got to toe a line, haven't they? They've got to toe a line, so you don't necessarily have the same. You see the Satisfy guys, but they're just told to wear Satisfy, so they're no different between Jim being told by Hoka to wear this shirt and do that, and he probably gets to choose some bits of it, but ultimately there's going to be he can't mix and match, can he? You can't go, I really like them shorts by Path. Can't wear them because I've got to wear my specific stuff. So
that's an interesting take. That's a bad runner's take right there, Inky. Like where you're saying that even though the brand is self-expression, that you're still being told what to do, which is the antithesis of self-expression. I should be able to, if I'm truly expressing myself, I'm making my own stuff. I'm doing my own, I'm altering it myself. Back to that DIY piece. I think the runners that, go ahead.
That's maybe why I like the Speedland so much. So you see the runners in the Speedland don't make kit so much.
Yeah.
So they're wearing the shoes, but Cam Haines isn't covered in Speedland equipment when he's running Cocodona, was he?
Right.
He had everything else on. So you're kind of more, for me, I'm more drawn to what's he using, because he's obviously, he's probably given the gear by brands, but
sure,
is he choosing this specific thing over something else?
Yeah, that's an interesting case for following people who pay full price. Because what have they actually chosen to open their wallets for? At least if, in terms of like function, if you're really trying to say, hey, what shorts would be best? Like who out there is posting content where they're posting content about stuff they've paid full price for? That's really an interesting way to look at it.
And that's why, like, when you see Wolfie and we're having a conversation about the kit, he's buying stuff, maybe getting given bits and pieces, but he's getting given bits probably by brands that he likes. He's not just being sent everything. Like we had a conversation, what's your top 5 shoes? Now it's like going back to High Fidelity. What's your top 5? What's your top 5 shoes? So we had a very different, even though we're very similar, our top 5s were completely different.
Yeah.
Or, that thing of, what's your top 5 that you've got now versus what have you seen? They might be rubbish when you get them, but visually, it was interesting how our different takes were. We both just did it like that. There was no thought. Like as soon as you said, write down your top 5, it was like, who could do it quick enough?
We both saw the 3 dots on the text. Like, okay, we're both we're both writing.
Yeah. I had to Google the spelling of one of them.
All right. Well, hey, Inky, this is fun, and I know it's going to be the first of many. And and today we're saying, okay, we're exploring culture, we're exploring shoe brands within culture, talking about this sort of stuff. We're finding our way in real time. If anybody's listening and has any feedback for us on this, please give it to us, because we know that we're on to something. We know we're in the right direction, and we're going to kind of work this out while the plane is flying, which is my favorite way to build anything. But I think interesting, notes on Vans, Speedlands, like just this core, like there are these fans. There's people that are obsessed with these brands, and there's plenty of that in running, and obviously not in running, but like this obsession around Vans, this obsession around Speedland, to where you pull out 5 pairs, you pull out a pair of Vans that have never been worn before that you bought, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
There's something about these brands that really get into us and make us want to buy them and own them, and because we connect with them. But it all really starts, ideally, or most of the time, with just looking at it and being drawn to it, right?
Yeah, totally. You see a picture of something and it's just like, got to have it. Within reason. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I don't need 5 pairs of Speedlands, do I? But I've got 5 different outfits. You got to need a. Not everything's going to go with that orange pair of socks. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to doing this again and seeing this take shape over time. This is fun, Inky. Thanks for joining me.
All
right, see you.
See you later, mate.